Welcome to the show. We're your host, Grant Cohn, Coach Noah Johnston. Uh, I'm back in my room where I grew up. Coach has got a nice blue. Is that a Kangol? What is that?
No, it's just a little bigger hat. It's a Nike hat.
Okay, I like it. Okay, so
A
anyway,
little
the
bigger.
title of the show is how Trey Lance will change the 49ers offense. I know everyone wants to talk about Lance. He's the most interesting topic on the team, even though he's hardly played football in his life. And so the first topic is going to be, is it fair for members of the 49ers to be continuously asked about Lance? I mean, we're sort of like doing what we're asking here. Like, we're constantly talking about Lance. It's funny. Did you see George Kittle recently? He was on some red carpet or something, and he was with his wife.
I saw something about that, but I didn't even bother to watch the video because we're getting into talk about it right now. But the problem is, it's like, what's the biggest topic on any team is the quarterback.
Yeah.
So you're like, chances are, like, 1 out of 3 questions are going to be revolving the quarterback, no matter who it is, whether it's Jimmy Garoppolo, Joe Burrow, or whoever. Now it's just impacted even more because there's a situation on the team where you have an incumbent guy and he stayed for the year and now he's leaving. Like, the 49ers put this situation on themselves, so they don't need to look any further than their own selves, because they created this. Because that's why you normally, in a situation like this, you ship out the guy, because you don't want all these your players ask all these questions and all of that. It's like what do you expect the media to ask? It's like, if someone went to the Ukraine right now and people are like, oh, well, why aren't you talking about my hot dog stand or something? Like, well, there's kind of bigger things going on right now. Like, like, that's the issue. That's the big topic on the 49ers is the quarterback. And what do you think they're going to ask you about?
So, yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is like, I'm a journalist who asks these questions. And to me, when a player on the Niners is asked about Lance out of nowhere by someone who doesn't cover the team, I cringe a little bit, because you're not going to get a good answer. And it's kind of disrespectful to the player to ask him not about himself. But at the same time, it's realistic and it's going to happen. And I don't know if you saw it, but George Kittle and his wife were on some red carpet, and George Kittle's proud. He thinks he's a star. He thinks he's the man. And someone came up to him that he didn't know and said, George, can I ask you a question? And he kind of big time the guy. Is like, yeah, just one. Like, okay. Okay, here we go, George. What do you think the question's going to be, George? That's what it was. Hey, is Trey Lance ready to take over? And you could see like the look on George Kittle's face, like, couldn't we get a question about me? And he's like, oh, we'll see how he works in the offseason. I thought it was kind of funny that he asked for one question. You got one Trey Lance question. I could see it being you resent I feel like it's going to end up players could resent the quarterback by no fault of his own. He hasn't done anything other than been drafted by the team and existed.
Right, but that would be the 49ers' fault for just not moving on from Jimmy. And
yeah, it's not like Trey Lance calls attention to himself.
No,
he just got drafted by the Niners. They traded up for him, and then they tried to act like they did Officer Bar Brady. They're like, nothing to see here. Just don't look.
Yeah.
Nothing going on. Like, okay, well, and I feel like Niner fans were patient for a year or two. Like, okay, fine. We'll pretend like he's not ready, and we'll put all our support behind Jimmy Garoppolo. But now that's all over with, and the questions are going to come. So I guess be prepared. And if you're George Kittle, maybe say 3 questions next time so you can get one about yourself.
Right. Although it probably would have been 3 questions about Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. But the other part of it too is that you have to understand that they've gotten through all this through their the local media, but now it's Super Bowl, the big stage. So everybody, all the other media outlets are coming. So they haven't asked these questions, right? They've not been around the 49ers. So now it's their chance to ask, and they do.
Okay. Let's get into the meat of the show. The show's called How Trey Lance is going to Improve the Niners Offense. Let's just talk about what the offense was at the end of the year. The Niners lost to the Rams largely because they couldn't run the ball against the Rams anymore, which is kind of wild. I mean, a big reason the Niners won 6 in a row, was it 6 in a row? 7 in a row? Yeah. 6 in a row against the Rams is because they could run the ball at will. Remember, week 10 or was that whatever it was, the Rams played their 2 high safeties like they always do, and the Niners just ran the ball 44 times. It was the easiest game in the world. But then the Rams, it seemed like they made common sense adjustments. Okay, it's Jimmy Garoppolo. We don't need to play two deep safeties. Maybe we'll load the box. Maybe we'll really overcommit to the run, and boom, it worked. And the Niners didn't have a counter. So my question to you is why did the Niners run game stop working against the Rams at the very end of the season? Why? I know the answer though.
Go ahead. Go ahead and give yours first. But
it's not Elijah Mitchell's fault.
No, it's not.
It's not Deebo Samuel's fault.
Mm-mm.
It's not George Kittle's fault. It's not Kyle Juszczyk's fault. I mean, Trent Williams was hurt. He wasn't himself, but he wasn't a liability in the run game. It's not.
No, that definitely played a part, but it wasn't. Yeah.
But it's not why the Niners were like dominant in the run game one game, and then I mean they beat the Rams without Trent Williams just a few weeks before. So to me, it's the quarterback. It's the fact that the Rams finally figured out that we don't have to respect him at all. We can play totally to stop the run, and if we shut that down, we win, and they did. That's the thing. That's what the Rams did, and that's why this change is necessary right now. I think it was necessary earlier, but Kyle kept saying or the implication was Trey's not ready because of the passing game, the things he's going to do in the passing game. I say damn the passing game. It's not about the passing game for the 49ers. They win and lose based on their running game, and their running game was DOA at the end of the season because no one respected their quarterback. The quarterback has an effect on all parts of the offense, and looking forward, what Trey Lance is going to do, a lot of people are focused on, well, how's he going to throw? Is he going to have a wobble? Is he going to be accurate enough? Is he going to go through his progressions? That's so secondary. What he's going to do is improve the running game and allow the Niners to get back to that goal of running the ball 40 times a game. It's so weird how they don't make that their goal every week, right? Because when they do make it their goal, they usually hit it and they usually win. But then all of a sudden in the NFC Championship game, they run 20 times. Well, you don't win that way.
But I think you're making a point about something else I wanted to kind of hit on is you have to have a quarterback that can operate without a running game in order to win. How well did the Rams run the ball in the Super Bowl?
Not well at all.
No, because it was taken away, and ultimately in the NFL, it's about your quarterback's got to be able to make plays. When they take the run away, that's why. It would make me laugh. Oh, Jimmy's awesome. You give him a running game, he can do everything. Yeah, a bunch of quarterbacks in the NFL can do that. A running game. I mean, yeah, that makes a lot of quarterbacks look really, really good. It's the guys that are exceptional are when you start taking the running game away, and you have to actually make a play. Those are exceptional guys, and obviously Lance has the ability to make throws that Jimmy just physically can't. And when it's 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 15, you'd like to be able to throw outside the numbers and down the field.
Well, obviously, if the Niners had a top 10, top 8 quarterback, they wouldn't have to live and die by their running game, but they don't because they passed on Mahomes, they passed on Brady, they passed on Stafford. They made those choices. So their choice now is Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance. And I'm not sure I know Jimmy Garoppolo is not a top 10 quarterback. I don't know what Trey Lance is.
Right.
So I'm focused back on the running game. The Niners are going to have a complementary quarterback until someone asserts themselves as a top 10 guy. And that's neither of them yet. So they're going to be complementary. And as long as you're going to live and die with the run game, give me the guy who actually lets the run game work. Because by the end of the season, they couldn't run the ball anymore. They could not run the ball anymore despite having 2 of the best running backs in the league, the best tight end in the league, the best fullback in the league. That can't happen ever again. Can't happen. You can't let your quarterback's inability to throw the ball down the field or your play caller's lack of trust in your quarterback to protect the ball limit the best part of your offense. You can't let that happen. Can't let it happen. So that's why I'm excited about this season. I think Niner fans should be optimistic about this season is that they can actually – their run game is going to be way better next year unless there's a bunch of injuries. It's going to be way better.
Yeah, it should be by his ability to touch all points of the field, and also he'll add something actually in the run.
I still feel like 85% of the discussion about Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance is what they do in the passing game. The Niners pass less than any team in the league except for the Seahawks. I want to know how each quarterback can help the running game. And right now, what Jimmy does is he hands off. Trey can hand. I think Trey learned from the best in that department. Trey can take it next step.
I think it's to me. I think with the passing game, and it doesn't. I don't know necessarily that they're ever going to be one of the top passing teams in the NFL, but I think maybe more passing efficient and being able to threaten your passing game, be able to threaten. Like you don't have to pass the ball all the time, but but be able to threaten your passing game has to be a threat. Like
That's
now,
a good point.
as currently constituted, the 49ers aren't a threat to make certain throws or to threaten you in certain areas of the field. When Trey
That's why it was ridiculous that the Rams played 2 deep safeties the first time. It was ridiculous.
Right.
And it made sense that they would sell out, just like the Packers did in the playoffs to stop the run. But if teams do that against Trey Lance next year, if they play single high safety.
Yeah, he's gonna check them.
Yeah. And so what you're going to see is teams going back to playing 2 deep because he wants to throw the ball down the field. And what you're going to see is the run game be so much. It's going to be easier. Elijah Mitchell, my prediction, 5 yards a carry next year. Elijah Mitchell, 5 yards a carry. Deebo Samuel, 7 yards a carry.
You might Deebo Samuel, 50 yards a carry.
Okay, let's answer a couple of questions. Looking at the upcoming schedule, Trey will be okay with some of these weaker teams, but if we trade Jimmy to Washington football team, the Commanders, would we have a Jimmy versus Trey game? They're not playing next year, are they?
I thought they are.
Are they? Hold on. 49ers 2022 schedule. Opponents. No, not Long Beach State.
No. Yeah, let's discuss Long Beach State.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, they have a home game against Washington. Whew. Good call. That would be fun. That would be cool.
I don't care. I honestly don't care about him going to the team. Like, go ahead. Like, that means he gets to throw to Fred Warner. Like,
Yeah, the Niners defense to be pretty confident about that. After the last 5 training camps, Desmond says, "How do you think that Deebo, Brandon Ayuk, Kittle, and Mitchell will truly make strides next season with Trey under center?" I think that it's going to be like. There's more space on the court. It's just going to be easier for everyone,
Yeah, I think their stats. I don't, like I said before in this previous discussion. Kyle by nature doesn't want to throw. He's going to run baseball, but he can have a more efficient passing game. There could be more yardage because Trey is going to be able to make those throws down the field more explosive. There should be more explosive plays, so they might end up with more yardage that way.
I think Ayuk's going to get more targets because Lance really likes throwing the ball toward the sideline.
Yeah.
Those are low-risk throws that you need a big arm for. And if you miss, it's out of bounds. So what I saw in training camp was him throwing a lot of those throws to Trent Sherfield, who got all the praise. Trent's tearing it up. No, Trey Lance is throwing him the ball in places where wide receivers don't normally get it on the 49ers. So I think that'll be Ayuk. My question is Kittle. I know he got 1 catch from Lance, and it was a nice one in that game. But Lance basically doesn't look at that part of the field as much. So I'm curious to see if he's going to be throwing seam passes with touch up this. You know what I mean? It's not really his game.
You can still run Kittle on corner routes. You can just change.
Absolutely. Right. But his game will have to be totally altered. The way you get to the ball will be different.
Right, and I think that's something that's be interesting to see because I do think there's a speed element to Kittle's game. Like we don't see Kittle get to just blow by a linebacker very often, which I think he can. And I think we
talked again about how they're gonna play 2 deep safety against the Niners. Well, Kittle up the seam that's what Vernon Davis used to do all the time. So it could be differently.
Yep, and then I think there's a vertical element to Deebo's game that's just that we don't see because of the quarterback too.
We saw it against Houston though when Lance played. Yeah, it's true, and we saw it against Seattle when Lance came in relief, right?
Yeah, that's what always was crazy about people. People like, oh, he's a short guy. He's a short line of scrimmage. No, he's not. Like, look at what he did in college. Like, he was down the field catching balls. Like, that's always been there. It's just a matter of having the quarterback be able to do it, be able to get him.
True. Yeah. All right. So, Rams won the Super Bowl. They're champions. It's amazing. I don't really respect that team very much, but wow, they're champions now. What do we learn? What was reaffirmed from the outcome of that game in terms of, what applies to the 49ers?
Yeah, I think there's 3 big things. And I think it's the 3 most important elements of building a football team. It's having a quarterback that can make plays for you when necessary. I think both teams had that, so that kind of canceled each other out. Then I think there's pass rush, which you saw there's a big difference in the two. Like the Rams were The Rams sacked Joe Burrow 7 times. They had 2 marquee pass rushers on the field. Although you can argue about where Miller is in his career, but he's still a viable.
Great in that game.
Yeah, he's still. And then obviously Aaron Donald's Aaron Donald. And then lastly, but right up there is the offensive line. Like the Bengals elected to basically ignore the offensive line this year, and they ended up with the 3rd most sacks in NFL history. Now they got to the Super Bowl, but they lost.
And why'd they lose? Because they got sacked a million times.
Right. And the other thing is, like, people aren't accounting for this, but Joe Burrow got hit a lot. And I think you just have to you can look back to recent history as Andrew Luck. Like, you do not want that guy taking all those hits. I don't know that Burrow's in a place in his life where he can walk away from the game, but after a couple of years of maybe he gets a second contract. I mean, you don't want to force a player to that point.
Right.
And you certainly don't want to lessen his career, and you certainly don't want to take away some of his athleticism through those injuries. You don't want a Peyton Manning type injury happening and stuff like that. So to me, I think the Super Bowl really just hit home those 3 points. And I think for the most part, the 49ers have taken care of those 3 things. I mean, we've talked about, I think there's some issues on the interior line. And McGlinchey, but I think they do prioritize offensive line. I mean, we'll see what they do this year in this free agency, if they bring back Lakin, if they if they have confidence in Aaron Banks. But I do think it reaffirms their methodology. Obviously, we know that they put a premium on pass rush, and they've got it. Now the other missing element really is Trey Lance is he gonna hit?
Yeah, I think it's what's reaffirmed, or what we already know, is that you need a top 10 quarterback. Unless your guy is really, really cheap and you have a great team around him, you probably need a top 10 quarterback, because I don't think that Sean McVay grew as a coach. Like, I don't think Sean McVay is necessarily better now than he was 3 years ago when he lost to Bill Belichick. I think Matt Stafford's better. And if you have a quarterback who's a top 10 guy or a top 8 guy, then you can take a good play caller like Sean McVay and make him look like a great head coach, like a champion, even though his coaching in that game was erratic. His coaching all the way through the season was erratic. But he had some guy who could sort of bail him out, because McVay's good in a lot of things. Stafford's good in a lot of things. So much better than Goff. I think maybe the same thing could be true for Kyle Shanahan. It's just funny. Like, he said no to so many top 10 quarterbacks. McVay never did that. McVay said yes to the first one he got a chance to acquire. Kyle seems to think he can do this with lesser quarterbacks. So I don't know. Maybe this was a good lesson for him. You probably should have just gotten Stafford this year, unless you really are confident in Lance.
Yeah, I saw I think, I don't know, we'll see what Lance is, but I think he learned or started to learn his lesson when he drafted Trey Lance, that he needs a top 10 quarterback. I, for one, am not a person that's advocating going to get one of these other guys like a Brady or an Aaron Rodgers, just because you've got Trey Lance and he's cheap. And I'll say this with a caveat, right? Like, you've seen him in practice. Like, he's played 2 games. Like, you should have a good idea of whether this guy's a bust or you can really believe in him to run your organization. And if you do believe in him, I think you should stick with him. And if you don't, then, like, Rodgers or Brady wants to come, like, just go ahead and move, and go on and move in. And if you want to then sit Lance or move on from him, that's fine. But if you believe in him, then I don't think you sit him for another year. You play him, and if you believe in him.
See, I disagree. Like, I get the quarterback that gives you the best chance to win. The reason I was all in on playing Lance this year is I watched him and Jimmy Garoppolo both play in training camp, and I sincerely believed Lance was better. I did. Now, he didn't play with the starters as much. Maybe I was wrong, but that's what I believe. I mean, I don't think Lance is better right now than Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. That's a different equation. So if Lance would have to sit for a couple of years or one more year behind one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, he could probably do it, and he'd probably be good for him. But that's a different discussion for another time. Yeah. I just don't understand Jimmy. Oh, sorry, Jimmy. I hope your career goes well somewhere else, man. The biggest enigma ever. Matthew Sanders says, Grant, all the best to your family. When Lowell is ready, we would love to see him. Thank you for being you and for all the great content. Thank you. When my dad is ready, he would love to see you too. NorCal Troca says, is anyone really surprised the Lambs won? They bought their Super Bowl. There was no way they wouldn't win.
I mean, it was a close game. Like, I mean, there was – I wouldn't say there's no way I picked them to win. I thought they would actually win by a bigger margin, but it was close. It was close. Maybe if the Bengals don't go for it on fourth down early in the game on their 50, I mean, that's a field position type game, right? With all the sacks and all that stuff. If they knew to that, maybe it makes a difference. I don't know.
CJ Smooth says, I got split personalities. I'm bipolar. You might see me with my Italian stallion or my cholo rap rock and rolla. I'm dope as Yola, he said. Thank you, CJ Smooth, for the $5. All right, moving on. This is a big one for me. Has Kyle Shanahan grown as a head coach? I asked because during the season I was like, yes, he's grown. This is a different Kyle. This is a super Kyle. And then the way the season ended, which was like a freaking repeat of the Super Bowl, makes me wonder, like, ooh. So I don't know. What do you think?
Interesting question.
I mean, I can lay out some facts if you want to think about it for a minute. Like,
I don't think so. I'm not a believer that he necessarily choked. That he choked in the end. I think I'd agree with what Vish said to you on a previous cast, which was that all these mistakes by him are just heightened because of the quarterback situation. The quarterback, when you have a good quarterback, he erases a lot of the bad decisions that you make, and your bad ones are just highlighted because of that. Like you just said, McVay's not any better. He just has a quarterback that makes up for his dumb decisions. And there's plenty. Like as a coach, you're never gonna make all the right decisions. Like it's just not gonna happen. And that's the importance of players. Like players are gonna make the difference. Like sprint right option wasn't a like genius play call. What was genius was Joe Montana and Dwight Clark. Mm-hmm. So I think no, I don't think he's really grown. But I don't know that it really makes a difference. I think you got to do what you just said. Like they got to get the quarterback right.
Right. Right. I just want to like be accurate with where Kyle Shanahan is. A lot of people are saying that he like improved. I'm trying to get the glare off my face. That he improved. I said he improved, but I want to go back and be clear. I mean, I'm not sure that he has grown. He's an excellent coordinator. His offense should really take off with Trey Lnce next year. But let's look at fourth downs. Okay, a head coach should have a philosophy on what they want to do on fourth downs. No, does Kyle? I don't know about that. I remember week 4, and I can't find the exact one, but he got criticized for not going for it on a fourth down against Seattle. It might have been a 4th and 2 at their own 46, but I remember why didn't you go for it on fourth down? Why are you so conservative? The next week in Arizona, what did he do? He went for it 5 times on fourth down. 5 times. And it was almost like, okay, so the media thinks I should go for it. I'm going to go for it every time on fourth down. And now you can't criticize me, right? Because you told me I was too conservative. Now I'm too aggressive. You can't have it both ways, right? So he did that, and they lost. We're 1 for 5 on fourth down. They lose that game. Probably win it if they kick some field goals. Okay, cut to the NFC Championship game. What are the 2 things that Kyle's criticized most about for losing in this game? The 2 things.
In the NFC Championship, for me,
yes.
not
getting the ball to Debo.
Not going to Debo.
And punting on 4th and 2 on the Rams 45, right? Yes, they took the delay, they punted. I mean, look, if that's what Kyle did every time, you could respect it. Be like, well, he's conservative. He doesn't go by the math. He goes by, he's old school. Fine. But no, week 5, they went for it on 4th and 4 from the Arizona 48. He called a pass for Trey Lance. It was incomplete. And this one, 4th and 2 on the Rams 45, and you punt. So you're totally knee-jerk reactive. You have no philosophy on what you want to do on fourth down. It's based on your gut or what? I have no idea. So to me, that's an indicator of a guy who's really not, he needs Anthony Lynn. He needs Anthony Lynn to be like, "Go, calm down. We talked about this before the game. We talked about this all week. In this situation, we do this. Don't let the emotions of the moment get the best of you, Kyle." He needs that. So hopefully Anthony Lynn can do that for him.
The only thing that they might be going by is they might have some sort of advanced analytics sheet where it's like, if we're down by 10 and if we need to go forward on fourth down, the statistics say, more successful.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. It doesn't feel like he's following anything like that. 1 week he'll be totally conservative on fourth down. The next week it's like every single time. And you can say, well, maybe the opponent factors in. I mean,
it does seem a bit erratic, and I do think you have to establish a philosophy, especially with that fourth down stuff. Like whether you're gonna go, if you're gonna go for it, like you got to kind of go for it every time in order for those for the statistics, the probability to play out. You have to go for it every time and use that philosophy. I think conversely, if your philosophy is to punt the ball, you should probably punt the ball every time unless it's obvious, you're kind of in that dead zone between field goal and punt. But yeah, I largely agree with that. But I would just say, like I said, is he using some sort of advanced analytics where it's the statistics of fourth down compiled with something else like opponent or score or I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So there's that. And then I didn't really like his coaching down the stretch. I mean, go back to the Dallas game. They were controlling the Dallas game. It was like no contest. And then late, Jimmy throws that pick, and everyone's like, "Oh, Jimmy, the arsonist, he does it again. Lets the Dallas back in the game." Well, who called a pass on 2nd and 11 with the big lead in fourth? And who did that? Why did you do that? You didn't do that week 10 against the Rams when you're running the ball. What is it about you in the biggest moments that you start doing things so erratically? And that's Kyle Shanahan to me. He can have a great 4 months in a row, but you can't trust him down the stretch. I mean, there's one more thing too. Sticking with Jimmy Garoppolo when he had 2 injuries down the stretch. I mean, how smart was that? Kyle usually can kind of figure out where these games are going. You didn't know that you were going to lose to the Rams without any type of passing game, that they're on the 3rd time this year, they were going to probably figure out that they didn't need to respect Jimmy's arm and they were going to stop the run, and that you weren't going to be able to do anything to counter it. You didn't figure that out? Because he sees everything else. I don't get it.
Yeah. To me, the big thing in that game and down the stretch was not getting the ball to your best player or your.
Of course.
I mean, if you look back at the Super Bowl, the Rams decided on the goal line that they were going to win or lose the game with Cooper Kupp. Like,
true.
That's what they did, and Cooper came through.
Yep. And it wasn't just that they didn't get the ball to Debo; it's that they didn't get the ball to him or Kittle.
Kittle, right? Like, yeah. To me as a coach, like in critical moments, I'm going to live and die with my best players, and if they can't make the play, then I'm just going to be like, well, hats off to the other team. Like, I'm going to put it in my best players' hands, and whether it's hand the ball to Debo or hand the ball to Kittle, or it's got to get in one of those two guys' hands, right? Like.
So what's my final takeaway with this one, though? I mean, I'm not saying like Kyle's on the hot seat because I've been saying that a lot the last 5 years. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying he's the same coach that I've been skeptical of the last 5 years, and he has a hell of a team, and he should have 2 or 3 rings right now. He should have just won the Super Bowl a couple of days ago. They're better than the Bengals and the Rams, but I don't feel like he's grown. I still don't feel like he's what I would call a good head coach. He has wonderful qualities, and he has a terrific assistant coaching staff, and maybe the combination of him and Anthony Lynn will be what puts the Niners over the top, because they need someone who's a little bit more clear-headed and calm in these crucial moments. It hasn't been Kyle yet. I just go back and look at the fourth. You tell me that he isn't totally reactive on fourth down. What is his plan on fourth down? And until he has one, you got to wonder like how good he is as a head coach. I mean, I know he can be great, but I think maybe Anthony Lynn will be the guy who shows him.
Yeah, don't you think?
Game management. Don't
you think Anthony Lynn though is a growth hire? And by the means, like, it's not. Although it is someone that he knows, right? But
yes,
it doesn't seem like the profile of the person that he would hire before, which would get, or he would promote before, like a young guy that wasn't going to tell him a yes man, right?
Yeah, but maybe he feels like obviously he messed up, but it's like, hey, where was Embry? right? It's like you're a golfer, and it's like, well, where were you on that one to tell me not to use the 8-iron, dude? Like, where you just agree with everything I said? I don't know, but maybe Kyle feels like I need someone who actually would say no or disagree with me, or I have no idea. I'd hope to think that because he needs that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Anthony. I didn't cover him. I think he had some game management issues with the Chargers too, and they weren't really in big games like this.
And right.
But this is my issue with Kyle is like just general decision making when it's pressure time, and then also like personnel moves in the offseason. Is he gonna trade up for another running back this year? Is he gonna give a lot of money to another wide receiver he doesn't need? Like what's the next weird thing he's gonna do with personnel? Because he doesn't need to do any of that stuff. Just leave it to the guys that do it for a living. They seem to set you up with a good team. Stop asking for the next Jerick McKinnon, Tevin Coleman, Trey Sermon. You don't need it. You don't want it. I'm telling you right now, you don't want it.
Probably trade
He's
up.
going to do that.
Probably trade up for Christian Watkins, and all the 49ers are like, yeah, and Kyle, yeah.
So Kyle, no, I still got my eye on you, Kyle. I still got my eye on you, Kyle. It's not that you're not good. It's that you could be a little bit better. You could be a champion, and you're not going to be a champion until you fix these little things. You're going to keep getting right to the finish line and be number 2 or number 3. You got to fix these little things. Fourth down, have a plan. Tell me what it is.
I think this upcoming year will be telling. It looks like by all accounts it's going to be Trey Lance unless something crazy happens. And that should take away, well, now you got a guy that can open up the field for you. So you can call everything you want now. There's the Jimmy Garoppolo excuse isn't there anymore. And I'm
gonna say something though. Yeah. Lance, I like Lance, but this whole product better look a whole lot like the Rams passing game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't want Stafford. You let Stafford go. Stafford had an instant transformative effect on that offense. You were like, nah, we're going to go the long route, get a young guy, season him. Okay, well, now he needs to have that kind of effect on your offense. Otherwise, you played yourself. And it wasn't about who was better between Lance and Garoppolo. It was about you should have gotten Stafford. I just pointed this, it was with Vish yesterday. Every time the Niners have to make a decision between quarterbacks, the guy they choose against wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see who they decide they don't want this year because that's who I'm putting all my money on.
Like Aaron Rodgers says he wants to come to the Niners, and then wherever he goes. Look.
If you want to win a Super Bowl as a quarterback, try to get on the Niners' radar. Let them say no to you, and then go to the next team. You're good.
Or maybe what York could do is let Kyle and John figure out who they don't want and say no, and then fire Kyle and John, then hire somebody else, and then go get that guy.
Hire Vish. Mike got the gun says, from your perspective in training camp, what wide receiver really took a liking to Trey Lance, and did it seem like anyone didn't have that anyone didn't have that vice about him? It was Sherfield, because remember, Lance was almost exclusively with the second team offense in training camp. So who was the wide receiver on the second team that was getting rave reviews every day? Sherfield. It wasn't Jennings. It wasn't Richie James Jr. It was Sherfield daily. And the way people were covering it, it was like, man, Sherfield he came out of nowhere. He's doing this all by himself. His route running, his effort is like, yeah, but he's also getting, targets. Yeah. He's getting targets, and he won't get these targets with Jimmy Garoppolo. They just, just saying.
Yeah. The other thing I don't with Lance, what I don't want to hear next year is like, oh, he's inexperienced. Well, why is he inexperienced? Because you didn't play him this year.
But I do think that Debo and Ayuk are going to have monster seasons with Lance. Lance likes to throw long passes outside the numbers. That's going to suit both of them. Kittle's going to have to change his game, but he's good enough to do it, and Kyle is smart enough to figure it out. But no, Ayuk I think is going to have a big leap because Kittle's going to get the bag. Kittle already has the bag. Debo's going to get the bag. Ayuk is the guy who's now on pursuit. And those are the guys who every year the Niners have a guy in their third year that just goes crazy. Kittle, Warner, Debo. It's going to be this guy next. Unless it could be Jennings.
Yeah, the 49ers do pretty well. Well, the 49ers do well on both sides of the ball with guys in contract years that.
Hey, it's expensive out here in Northern California. You got to get that money, baby.
They should just unload everybody and just get guys on one-year deals.
Yeah. McVay won a Super Bowl before. Kyle, do you think we'll see a different Kyle this offseason by going all in with Lance?
I think the general philosophy of the organization is different. Like the 49ers, now they made a big move, the big move to move up with Lance, but I wouldn't say Lance move was like an all-in move because the Lance move to me was a long-term deal. Wasn't It wasn't a move for this year. I don't think it was a move for 23 either. Um, I just think there's a general difference in philosophy between those organizations, and no, I'm not going to say they're going to probably go all in with Lance. They could make a move mid-year if like let's say they start having a good season and there's a veteran that they could trade for and they have cap space, they could do that. But I don't see like them doing what the Rams.
But I mean, like, if there was any to me, like, I think Kyle's been trying to move on from Garoppolo for a long time, and there's been a lot of pushback in the organization from the front office, probably ownership, and the locker room. And Kyle doesn't want to be like, a dictator who's going to go against everyone and make himself the least popular person there. It's like, okay, if you guys all want Jimmy, fine, but like, I'm going to try to get you guys over time to see it from my perspective. And now Jimmy had another opportunity, flopped, awful in the playoffs, and then you see the alternative that maybe some people in the organization didn't want them to do. Stafford wins the Super Bowl. So I guess from Kyle can be like, can I move on now? Can I please move on? The Rams let McVay move on. They trusted his judgment. He won a Super Bowl. Can I get that trust now? Maybe he gets that. The benefit of the freaking doubt, because I really believe he wants to move on from Jimmy more than as much as I want the Niners to move on from Jimmy. I do.
If you're right about that, and then if you're also right about who Kyle is, and that he really wants to be right and kind of be able to kind of say I'm right, I think he's got a lot of motivation to make Trey Lance be super successful.
Would you trade Kittle to Miami for a first-round pick?
Which pick?
They have some high ones, right?
I think maybe didn't they made just short of the playoffs, so maybe it's like high teens.
Hold on.
I know they have the Niners.
They got the 29th pick. And you know where they got it from? The Niners.
Oh,
That's all they got.
They don't.
Would you trade Kittle for the 29th pick? I don't think so. You can do better. I think you can do better.
Plus, I think you're gonna have to take a cap hit if you trade him now.
I don't know you want to trade Kittle now yet either. Like, he's not even 30. You're trying to set Trey Lance up for success. I don't think you want to start taking weapons away from him.
No, I agree.
Also, he's going to be compared to Jimmy Garoppolo. You really want to start taking weapons away so that people can say Jimmy was better than him, and you can be like, well, he didn't have Kittle. Like, I don't know if you want to do that. To me, I'd be more inclined to trade Bosa, but I know you don't want me to say that, but it's like, it's defense. I mean, all those weapons affect the quarterback. The offensive linemen affect the quarterback. You don't really want to negatively impact the quarterback. And yes, Bosa sacks quarterbacks, but he doesn't have anything to do with Trey Lance. And you have a great defensive line coach. So they're not going to trade Bosa. They're not going to trade Bosa. Don't worry. I'm just saying, like, if there's one player you want to trade, that's the guy I keep going to because he's worth the most. I think he's the most replaceable. And it's going to be hell expensive.
I think I definitely see your points on this. I think like you said before on the previous show we did, like Bosa's value is probably really never going to go away. So to me, when you do it, like get the most of this rookie contract as you can, and then do it like before you have to actually.
That's the thing, because even if they extend him this year, you could probably have him at a reasonable price for 2 more seasons. So keep him. And you know what? Who cares about a first-round pick, really? Like the Niners' track record, they could easily trade someone really good for a first-round pick and flat out whiff. They've done that, right? So it's nice to have first-round picks, but the Rams haven't had one since 2016. They just won a Super Bowl. So the Niners, they're better at drafting on day 3 anyway. So I think what the Rams have shown you is as long as you're drafting, you don't have to necessarily have first-round picks.
Trade Bosa for a lifetime of 5th-round picks. Like,
if you traded Bosa, you could get a top 5 pick, I would think. I think you might even get a top 3 pick.
So the thing about I've thought about this, but the thing about trading for Bosa is it wouldn't be the teams that have top 5 picks are non-contending teams. It wouldn't be a non-contending team. I think that would be interested in Bosa. It would be one of these teams that would be looking for that
Yeah.
to like.
It'd be one of these weird circumstances where a team that's good has a top pick and they're like,
yeah. So that's the thing. You probably would get a first round pick, but I don't know that you're going to be able to get the 5th overall pick like you wanted to. You get multiple first round picks, but I think they'd be like mid to late, just because the team that would actually execute that trade would be a contending, semi-contending team.
can you hear my dad snoring in the background? Can you hear it? He's
Now that you
snoring in the background. Can you hear it? You can hear it? Okay. Whew, man, tough times. He hasn't been sleeping, but now he's sleeping, so that's good.
yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Does that mean that we have a terrible show?
No.
To sleep?
No, I hope not. What is the draft focus with the mobile quarterback?
I'm not sure what that question what you're asking. Like, why teams are leaning toward mobile quarterbacks? I mean,
I'll put it this way. I think one of their picks should be a wide receiver who can run faster than all the wide receivers they have. Like, they should get the young Travis Benjamin, who's good, and they can get that guy with a 6th or 7th round pick. That's not hard to find, but someone who's fast should be on this team, because now you got a guy who wants to throw the ball down the field. And your number one deep threat right now is Debo.
Yeah, I think what their focus should be, or if revolve around the quarterback, is they need to protect. They need to get that interior fixed. And I know they haven't had good track record in the past, and that's regardless of the mobile quarterback or not. Like, you can't have a guy having immediate pressure in his face, and they have to get better at that. And then I think long term you need to have a solution next year for your right tackle spot, because in my opinion, I don't want to give Belucci a long term deal. Now, he might be fine this year, but he needs a solution there.
Mike got the gun, says low-key want to keep Jason Verrett if he can be healthy.
I don't see why
if he can be healthy. Yeah.
Why they couldn't.
Yeah. I low-key want to keep Steve Young if he can be 35. I love those things, like those conditionals. Like, well, you banking on that? You think he can be healthy? I would love Jason Verrett if he can be healthy, but that's the whole problem with Jason Verrett, is that he can't be healthy.
Exactly.
And he's older now. If he wants to come to training camp and see if he can, fine. Non-guaranteed vet minimum deal like what Jaquaski Tart just did. If you want to sign the Jaquaski Tart deal and bet in yourself and come back, fine. But anything more than that, nah.
I think that's going to be there, though. Like, who's going to throw that kind of money at Verrett? I mean,
no one. Sean Shepard says, be blessed. The Cones are loved unless you are Dante Pettis. Thank you, Sean. What is your opinion of LA's last drive? Holy referee interference. Don't y'all think it was a little suspect? Grace and peace, bro.
Yeah, I thought the refs should have changed how they're calling the game a little bit. I think that Cincinnati got away with one on Ramsey. That touchdown. Like, so it all ends up evening out anyways. So
I don't think the Bengals got screwed. I think the Bengals screwed themselves. Yeah. They had the ball with plenty of time. They had 3rd and 1. They ran the ball. They went no gain. 4th and 1, run it again. Find a different running play or play action. What they did was shotgun, straight drop back. You've already gotten sacked 7 times. You're surprised that Aaron Donald beat your left guard? What are you doing? Your running back averaged 4.8 yards per carry. You gave him 15 carries. You called 43 dropbacks. 7 of them were freaking sacks. One was a throwaway. 2 were scrambles. Like, you're an idiot. You're the smartest dumb coach in the league. What are you doing? I can't. The Bengals should have won that game. They're the one that had. They're the team that had the run game. They're the team that didn't turn the ball over. Am I wrong about that?
No, they didn't.
How did you lose that game? Because their coach is an idiot who called more than 2-to-1 pass to run ratio. What are you doing with a lead with the running back who's actually playing? I'm sorry, not an idiot, but like, you see this a lot with really smart offensive coaches. They just need to show how freaking smart they are. It's like, nah, run the damn ball. Be simple.
And yeah, I thought Joe Burrow played really, really well. I mean,
for a guy who's getting under siege.
He's
games like that against the Rams.
He's running for his life. Like, it was similar to the previous Super Bowl. Remember, like with Patrick Mahomes. Like, I thought Patrick Mahomes the previous Super Bowl played pretty well. It's just Like he's running for his life. Like
Yeah.
what do you want?
What do you want to do? Vince says, "Do you think Kyle is better than Vrabel or McDermott?" I personally, no. I mean, Kyle. I'm sorry. When you say what Kyle's great at, you're always going to go to his scheme, his play calling, and that's great. I mean, he's definitely the godfather of all these people of McVay and all these people. But the issue in terms of coaching is like game management. What the hell? 3 times Kyle has let leads go away in seasons where he probably should have been the champion. So I don't know. No, he's more gifted than them, but he's not more mature than them. He's not more, you know what I mean? I don't know what the word is. I'm tripping.
Yeah, I think they're probably all kind of around the same in the same spot in the league to me.
What's weird about Kyle is he's not like he's off the charts in certain areas, and then in other areas he's deficient. And I think some people it's like, well, if he's off the charts here, then he must be great at everything. It's like, well, maybe not.
No. Yeah. I
Nightmare Kyle and Trey for Cousins and player pick. Come on, don't even do that. Don't even do that. 88. What's up, Rob? Grant my condolences. I thank you. Remember Ford versus Ferrari? The right driver makes this offense damn near unbeatable. All receivers eat with 5. Yeah. Or, any quarterback better than Jimmy, really. I mean, the fact that you have Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, and you average you're 31st in the league in passes per game. What's the point of having these guys? You're spending $16 million a year on Kittle. You're about to spend $25 million a year on D. What's the point? You traded up for Brandon. What's the point? What is the point? So you can run everything through Elijah Mitchell, your 6th-round pick. I mean, he's good, but damn, why did you invest in these players?
And it's a passing league, so
it's a passing league. Yes.
Maybe Dwelly will get some catches.
Maybe. Let's say the Niners trade player X for a top 5 pick. Who would we pick? That's a good question.
There's a bunch of guys.
Can we wait until the combine? I'm the Al Davis.
Yeah.
I need a 40 time before I can even look at a guy. I don't know. Can we wait till the combine? I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe this isn't the year to trade Bosa. It doesn't seem like there's any Bosa.
Yeah. I mean, I think
they say that dude from Michigan, right? He's not. Is he a top 5 pick? No. Aiden Hutchinson.
It depends supposedly he runs like a 4.6, 4.5. If he does that, yeah, he'll be a top 5 pick. I mean, Bosa was number 2 pick and ran a 4.78. So I think he'll probably go top 5. I do think like a guy, and to me, I don't think he'd be top 5. But if the 49ers, for instance, did pull off that trade with Washington gave them the 11th overall pick, the safety from Notre Dame would be prime in the crosshairs.
I have no idea who that is. Again, when the combine happens and there are 40 times, I will have strong opinions on all these players. But for now, it's February 15th. I've heard of no one. It's exciting. And then by March 5th, I will be an expert on everyone because that's how media people do it. All right, hold on. Peachy, I miss you, Peachy. Been thinking about you and your family. Thank you. Haven't forgot about the women's roundtable. We're going to do that. Just give me a couple weeks. But we'll do it. The Niners have got to move off all these off-injured players enough already. We have to get more healthy. Yeah, and don't sign any more. That's why I'm like, you know what, Raheem Mostert, I love you. It's time to go. Jason Verrett, I love you. I don't love you, but like, I know you. You guys are nice guys. Nothing. And I kind of, in Mostert's case, like, well, Mostert and Verrett, I'm sort of caught up in the pulling for their story. You know what I mean? Like they were hurt and coming back and redemption. Like, sorry, man, do that somewhere else. The Niners have to look out for their own interests, and the only thing derailing them is injuries at this point. Really.
Yeah, and they do have to start. We've talked about it before. Like it's one of the things. Like if you can move off from Jaworski, ideally, you should because you guys.
Ideally, you do.
Yeah, you got to start getting rid of some of these guys on your roster that. Like you said,
the one thing that the Niners need to find a way to replicate from the Rams is their health luck. And it may not be luck because it's consistently something that they have a team that's healthy. I don't understand. Maybe it's that they have really light practices, no training. The Niners all of a sudden had a really light offseason and boom, didn't have a ton of injury. I think maybe not getting people hurt in practice is a good place to freaking start. I talked about that a lot. Don't get dudes hurt in practice. It's practice.
Right, and limit the guys that you sign that have an injury history because they're going to be more likely to be injured. And if you do sign a guy with a big injury history, make sure it's a contract you can either get out of or it's a very cheap contract. the Tart deal last year was a great deal for the 49ers.
Will Craig says, do you think Joe's comments just improved Jimmy's trade value? Also, is it not possible that this could be why Joe said what he said? Conspiracy theory.
I don't think
You
so.
think Joe's trying to help the Niners? The
Yeah.
Niners traded him. Joe was real close with Eddie DeBartolo. They were very close. York, I mean, I don't think that the Yorks and Montana are secretly in cahoots. I think Montana's going rogue here, guys. I think he's going rogue.
I'd agree.
Going rogue. But I like your theories. CJ Smooth says, oh, after the bars he had earlier, still salty. We went 3-1 against them. Shake my damn head. Should have beat them. I still feel that they were lucky to beat the Rams week 17. I mean, the Rams were up big. They had to blow that. The Niners squeaked out a victory in overtime. I think that it all would have been so much easier with the backup quarterback. And I kept saying that, and Niner fans were like, shut up. Yeah. Like, I was the guy in Mean Girls who was getting hit in the face by the boombox in the front row. I was like, shut up. And then they didn't win the Super Bowl. And I'm like, what about now, though? What about now? Do you still feel that way?
Yeah.
Do you still feel that way?
Maybe they wouldn't have needed acts of
maybe a quarterback who didn't have a messed up thumb who could throw the ball more than 15 yards. What do you think? Maybe, possibly? No, because you need because Jimmy rallies the troops. I'm sorry. Why do I just get into this mode? It's terrible. Trade Armstead and Kinlaw thoughts. Oh, I'm down. You know I'm down.
I know you're
down.
I
am down.
Where are you going to find that trade?
I'm not an Armstead fan. I acknowledge that he has the ability to take over games. He has the ability to be better than DeForest Buckner, but he's inconsistent. He was great for 3 weeks in a row and needed to be in the NFC Championship game. Was he pacing himself? What the hell was that? Eric Armstead, what was that? I watched it. You had no statistics. I watched the coach's film trying to figure out what happened. I saw what happened. They doubled you and you were like, ooh, this going to be tough. And you were just like, you know what? Not my week. Can't happen.
I want to know if they're permanently going to make that move and he's going to stay in the interior. Like, are they going to?
You asked me. So I asked D'Amico Ryan specifically for you.
Okay.
And I was like, so D'Amico, it seems like, Eric Armstead really found a home at defensive tackle the second half of is that where he's going to be from now on? And he goes, well, he's a great defensive end too. And I think a big reason they kept him over DeForest Buckner. Do you remember a few years ago, there were reports in training camp that the Niners are moving Buckner. They're experimenting with Buckner at defensive end. Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that? I don't think he liked it. I think he wanted to play D tackle. I think Armstead was more open to doing whatever the coaches freaking wanted, and I think they liked that. Oh, Armstead's versatile. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's just more willing to say yes because DeForest Buckner knows he's going to be the highest paid, one of the 3 highest paid defensive tackles in the league and doesn't have to do this. Armstead's over here trying to prove himself because he got hurt and missed a lot of time, and he's just here to say yes. So is he versatile? No. He's a defensive tackle who's good sometimes and totally invisible most of the time. So, yeah, trade him and then trade Kinlaw, too, to some team that thinks his knee's all right because it's not, most likely.
I don't think you'd find trade for those guys. Maybe if Kinlaw has a year this coming up here, you might be able to move him next year.
Yeah, it's irresponsible to trade for a guy who's coming off that season with surgery just had. I mean, you just wait and see.
Yeah.
He probably can't even pass a physical at this point. Kinlaw is major Kentuan Bomber energy. Trade him for a bag of chips. That's the kind. Nah, he is damaged goods, and he's not going anywhere until what he is Jalen Hurd until further notice. Sorry, further notice. I'm not saying he can't bounce back, but Hurd didn't. All right, 2 more topics. Could the Niners sign one big name pass rusher in free agency? If so, who would you like them to sign?
Well, here's the thing that I think. If you look at Ebekam's contract, you could actually cut him and save $6.5 million. So let's say if there's a guy out there that he's willing to sign for 8 or 9,
which is what Ebekam's going to get this year, right? 8.5.
He's going to be his total salary cap impact is going to be 8 something. But
okay, that's
if you would take I think 1.6 dead cap if you cut him, but you would gain back 6.5. So what I'm saying is, like, I don't know. I think Chandler Jones or something like that is probably going to be like a 2-year, $14 million a year deal. But if you could get a pass rusher you think better than Ebekam, and you can get him for around 10 or something like that, So basically, you're just adding another four mil into that pocket. Like that would be ideal. Like, and if you do want to pursue a guy like that, you can get $6 million towards that. If you did want to spend 14 mil on a Chandler Jones or something like that, cut Ebicom, take that 6 mil, and now it's not really like 14 mil. It's you're using 8. So, and I do think it would be within the realm of possibility that 49ers could go after one of those pass rushers because we know they prioritize a defensive line. So it wouldn't surprise me if they decided if they're going to spend money that's where they're going to put it.
I'm against it. I don't think they should spend big money on a pass rusher, but I like the way what you're. I think the way you're thinking about it is perfect. If you could upgrade Ebukham's spot for the same amount of money, why wouldn't you?
Right?
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I'm not because I don't do the D Ford thing ever again, ever. Don't trade for the dude who's got the messed up back and then give him the extension. You don't need to do that. You have Chris Kosarick. You're not desperate. You also have Nick Bosa. You do a really good job of finding low-cost people and getting the most out of them. Kerry Hyder, Ard, it's on and on and on and on. So you don't have to. But if they're like, well, we could spend eight plus on Ebicom this year, or Von Miller just hit us up and he's like, hey, I'll play for you for the same price. I'll take Von Miller. I mean, that's like not even a question.
Same price or reasonable within.
Yeah, it's not even a question. So yeah, if the Niners can like slightly, they can upgrade Ebukham's spot, pay a little bit of a premium. I'm down because Ebukham is good, but you could get better. Why not?
Yeah,
why not?
Or it might not. It could be one of the, like a mid-tier.
It's not like you're even going to re-sign Ebukham after this year anyway. He's probably going to be gone.
It could be one of those mid-tier pass rushers that maybe had 6 sacks, something like that this past year. It's relatively young, and doesn't want to sign a long-term deal this year. Would rather just sign a 1-year deal. Hey, let me come to the Niners, play next to Nick Bosa, get coached by Chris Kosarick, sign a 1-year deal, be it relatively cheap, and I'll get double-digit sacks next year, and then I'll get a big payday. They can do something like that.
Yeah, sounds good. I don't know why my internet's crapping out. Hopefully it makes a comeback in the next few minutes. Keith says, I will say Shanahan has grown as a coach when he stopped giving – I will say Shanahan has grown as a coach when we stopped giving up fourth quarter leads in the postseason. NFC Championship and Super Bowl loss, 0 points in the fourth from the offensive genius. I think that's fair. You can point to whatever you want from Kyle Shanahan in the regular season, whatever stats, whatever tweaks or adjustments he's made. What is it with you and fourth quarter leads in the postseason? Like, how many times are you going to score 0 points with a lead in the fourth? That's crazy. Yeah, that's true. I think that's fair, Keith. That's the measuring stick for him.
I don't like not going to your best player late in the game.
Yeah, me too. If Trey sucks, who in the Niners organization should be held responsible and who actually will be held responsible? Kyle. That's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Going to be freaking Kyle. Maybe that's why he deferred that for you. He didn't want to be on trial right away. All right, last topic.
Probably John Lynch.
This is so interesting to me. Who is calling me over and over and over again? What is going on? I don't know who you are.
If you don't know who they are and they don't leave a message.
Hold on.
All right.
I have a flower delivery your door. Can you come outside to take it? No. Leave it at the door. No. I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay.
All good.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about football again.
Sean McVay possibly retired.
Yeah, okay, so this is so interesting. After the game, someone asked him, are you going to be coaching this team next year? And he said, we'll see. Can you imagine Kyle Shanahan saying, we'll see? That'd be huge news in the Bay. But no, we'll see from Sean McVay. So it seems to me, works very hard. Probably could get the same amount of money doing what Gruden did or Madden did, has that kind of personality. Also, the future of the Rams is a little bleak. They have no future assets. Once this core is gone, he might want to go somewhere else. I don't know. What do you think of this news?
It's funny that I didn't even know that you were going to put this topic on, and I was thinking about this before because it was something that you mentioned this past year with the Rams' whole philosophy is, right? Just throw the future away because Sean McVay knows that he's not going to be here in a couple of years. I'm just going to throw the future away, and then the Rams could let me go, and I'll just go to another team and do it again. Well, I think you're close, but he's not going to go to another team. He's going to go to TV and get paid equally or just under and not have all the stress. So like I think this has been in his mind for a while where, I just want to get to Super Bowl, just I'll mortgage everything, doesn't matter. And then I'll just go chill and I'll do TV and then I'll get to go to Cabo like for half the year and
have a family. I think someone with the Kevin Demoff or someone said like, look, the way Sean McVay works, it's not sustainable. Right. He works way too hard. Can't have a family. I know he might want to have. I don't even know if he's married, but he might want to have a family. He may not want to be with the Rams long term. It seems like what he could be doing now is, negotiating an extension. I don't even know if I want to coach anymore unless you make it worth my while, because I could just make the same amount of money, BSing. Here's the thing. I used to aspire to be quality control with an organization. I much prefer to be quality control on my own now. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm at the point where I'm like, nah, this is a lot easier. There's I don't have to worry about a coach getting fired or relocating. Nah, I like this job. And Sean McVay might realize that too at some point, that talking about football is just as fun as participating in it, maybe more fun. So I don't know.
And
I can see him doing it.
Not as stressful, and his bag might be equal to what he would get paid. If it's not equal, it'll be damn close. So
and that John Madden, John Gruden Monday Night Football spot is real precious. Like it's almost harder to attain than being a head coach in the NFL. Like there's 32 of those jobs. There's only one of those number one commentator. And it's like right now, who is it on Monday Night Football? Freaking Greasy.
yeah.
I mean, like, yeah. Sean McVay would really upgrade the Monday Night Football broadcast.
I think isn't Chris Collinsworth's contract up, and I don't think NBC renewed it. Like there's still, so I think I think the NBC plan is to go to Drew Brees, but if McVay is out there,
McVay would be way better than Drew Brees.
Yeah, if McVay is out there,
Drew Brees is problematic anyway.
Yeah, so
he is.
I mean, yeah, either or. Like McVay's gonna. Oh, and right. I think isn't Amazon getting games this year?
Yes.
I think the guy that owns Amazon has a little bit of money, right? I think he can probably afford to pay what he wants for
McVay. I would do it. Quit. Go be a commentator. Hire me. We could do the shows. But yeah, I think this is good news for the Niners. I think it's good that the Niners. I thought they should have hired McVay, but McVay is such a outgoing personality. He might not be a coaching lifer. Kyle is a coaching lifer. He's not gonna all of a sudden become like a media personality. He's not a personality. He's a grinder coach.
Yeah, McVay's doing podcasts like right now, like as a coach.
True. He's been like he's kind of been He watches the show and he realized, man, Grant's got the life. Grant's got the life. I do though. I really do.
Yeah. So
it's good news for the Niners. This is really good news for the Niners.
It is. I mean, it's.
I think my last topic. I forgot to put it in.
I think it does. I think you would love that on a lot of different levels because I think you're a big fan of chaos, and I think Sean McVay retiring, it would. The Rams offense coordinator is committed to the Vikings. So and the Vikings turned down Harbaugh because they wanted to hire that guy. So like chances are then if that happened, then I think it's Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell would probably be the Rams' next head coach, and he would back out of the job for the Vikings. The Vikings would be caught in with the last man standing and not have a coach, and would create a little bit of chaos there. So I think would love that.
Last topic. I want to get this in. The Niners currently have the fourth best odds to win the Super Bowl next year. Apparently it's Chiefs and Bills, and then the Rams, and then the 49ers. We just mentioned that Sean McVay might not even coach the Rams next year. The Niners are in a really good spot. Tom Brady retired. Aaron Rodgers, questionable. Sean McVay, questionable. Cardinals falling apart. Seems like the Niners, if you wanted to bet on the Niners winning the Super Bowl, that would be a pretty good bet right now. You might make a lot of money.
Right. And then also you're talking about Aaron Rodgers might leave the NFC. Like the two big teams I think that's out there that they were talking about him going to have been AFC teams, the Broncos, I believe in the Tennessee Titans. So,
and if you think that Trey Lance can have a Matthew Stafford-esque effect on the 49ers offense, you might want to throw some ducats down on this one. I don't bet, though. I don't do that.
There's plenty of guys on 49ers Twitter that do, though.
Not for me.
No,
Not for me. I just stream.
I used to bet heavy in high school when I was
yeah. Were you good?
I made money.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, it was
you also lost money too, right? So
yeah, I lost money. I mean,
it's like yeah.
But it's a little rougher when you're in high school. You have when you're risking the money you have. But
I think they're 11-1 right now. The Niners. So that you can. I don't even know how the odds work, but it sounds like you can make a lot of money if you think they're going to win. I don't know. I mean, if McVay quits, the Niners are definitely the team to beat in the NFC. And even if he stays, the Niners were. I thought they were better than the Rams this year. And if they had just played their, the right quarterback, they probably would have beaten them 3 times. So I don't know. But yeah, I think this is really breaking quite well for the 49ers. I think a lot of people are going to pick them to win the Super Bowl next year, unless they're skeptical of Trey Lance. If you believe in Trey Lance, I think you're going to pick him to win the Super Bowl next year, at least represent the NFC.
Yeah,
the Chiefs and Bills are still really good. Really good.
They are.
Really good. That's the problem. I think they kind of took each other out this year. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Those were the 2 best teams this year.
The thing I'll say about the Chiefs, though, is I think that Mahomes contract starts to hit this year. I don't know what percent.
He does. Allen's not so much, but Mahomes, he's up to like 35 this year. Allen's will be down to 16. So yeah. I'm saying Allen and the Bills against the Niners. Niners. I don't know. A little early. Fook me says the Rams are going to suck in a couple of years. For a long time, McVay wants to go out on top, then wait for a team to give him an offer he can't refuse. I just want to say that before the season, I said, don't be surprised if McVay bails on the Rams, wins the Super Bowl and bails, because he mortgaged their future. That's not his future. Yeah. That's not. He doesn't have to. He's 36. He doesn't have to stay there for the next 30 years. He could be like, you know what, I'm going to do Monday Night Football, and then I'll go to another team that's good.
Right. And then people will say it wasn't that they mortgaged the future why they stink now. It's because McVay left.
There you go. Keith Murphy says, good point, Coach. McVay went to Cup too many times in the Super Bowl. Go to your best players, Kyle. You're right.
That's win or die with your best players.
I mean, basketball coaches understand that, right? It's not like, oh, crunch time. Let me get some shots up for Kevon Looney. Wiggins. Like, no, you don't. You just got fired. The next guy's going to get a shot for Klay Thompson or Stephen Curry. I bet you.
Right.
I bet you. Rob Martin says, Coach, what the hell? First DJ and now Sampson. These are our primary run stoppers. Bosa draws defenders. They made tackles. He didn't like the idea of getting rid of Sampson.
I mean, like we just said, you're not just arbitrarily getting rid of Sampson. You're getting Sampson if there's something better. Like,
right.
You don't think Chandler Jones or Von Miller is going to give you better output than Simpson and Ebukam? Like,
I don't think you can get Chandler Jones on a 1-year deal though. Maybe you can get Von Miller.
So but there's a lot of out there. There's a good amount. I mean, and so what I'm saying is, don't just cut Sampson. But if a guy is out there and you can get him for relatively cheap or just around what you pay Sampson, why not do it? And he's better.
Niners schedule next year is going to be really tough unless we get A-Rod or Brady. I don't even think we make the playoffs. Do it, Lynch.
I agree. I disagree with that. Everyone thought the Niners had an easy schedule this year and ended up being a lot tougher. So like
Jimmy Butler face. What? Nightmare if Kirk on Niners do Vegas odds increase.
No, because they're already at -4 cap space. Throw Kirk on there, like, ugh. And then he can't. He's immobile.
Oh yeah, he makes some of the least athletic plays any quarterback in the league. Like when he's in rhythm and can do everything, but when he has to actually like be an athlete, it's like, oh, wow, he's out of his element. That's the end of the show, though. Thanks everyone for watching. I think I'm gonna be back later today with Jack. Although I haven't talked to Jack, everyone's kind of like just leaving me alone right now. So I got to reach out to Jack and see what his schedule is. I might be back. Thank you, Coach, for doing the show. This was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll see you guys later. Whatnot.
See
Have a
you.
good one.